Resistance, burnout, procrastination, sleepless nights, stress, and painful hard work. Fatigued from running on the high achiever hamster wheel? This is the Bold Leadership Revolution, where we develop high-performing leaders to live, thrive, and lead bold and smart, not hard. Here is your host, Tara Newman.
Hey, everyone. Welcome. You are listening to the Bold Leadership Revolution podcast with me, Tara Newman. I'm so excited to be your host and to take you on a leadership journey like no other. This is our introductory episode 0, the prequel, the amuse-bouche, if you will. And in this introduction, I want to share a little bit about myself, a little bit about the Bold Leadership Revolution movement, and what you can expect from our time together. At the end of this episode, you're going to know 3 things. I want you to take away 3 things. 1, I want you to know if you're in the right place and if the Bold Leadership Revolution is the right place for you to be. Because if you are like any leaders that I know, you are busy, you have a lot of irons in the fire, you are spread most likely a little too thin, and you don't have a precious second to waste listening to something that doesn't resonate. So by the time this 15 minutes is up, I want you to know for certain if you are in the right place. I want it to be a hell yes for you. You will also know what topics we will be covering through this podcast and how you can best use the content to develop yourself as a leader, because that is what I am the most passionate about. And that is why I'm doing this podcast, to develop leaders in this world. And not just to develop leaders in this world, but to develop leaders who develop leaders. So this podcast, aside from if you're a leader, but this podcast is for people who desire more, who want an extraordinary life, a thriving business or career. This is for people who want to work, live, and play full out. And if you're like any of my clients, you want it now. Patience is not your virtue. Exponential growth, quantum leaps, accelerated results, world-class businesses. This is the language that you speak. You want to test the limits of your potential. And not only do you want to test the limits of your potential, one of your biggest fears is that you will not live up to the potential that you know is inside of you. And I'm here to show you how. Because potential, it's a tricky thing. You have to be able to perform your best every single day in order to reach your potential. But before we even start talking about performance or reaching your potential, we need to be ready to ditch those feelings of overload. The frustration, the procrastination, that needs to go. We need to make them a thing in the past. It's time to say goodbye to resistance, to burnout, and the belief that success needs to be hard or painful, because these are the very things that hold us back from moving forward. And that's not how we do things here at the Bold Leadership Revolution. The Bold Leadership Revolution is about making unrelenting forward progress in all of your pursuits. It's about winning. And it's actually quite simple. It's about leadership. This isn't about titles or money or followers. This is about bold leadership, and it starts within each of us. Bold leadership is birthed in our soul. It's a way of being. It's about bringing your whole self, who you really are, to the forefront of your business and life. Bold leadership is about channeling your ambition. It's about learning how to cultivate courage every day. It's about finding your focus, standing firmly in your values and vision, creating and executing consistently, taking incredibly intentional action. Bold leadership is about radical responsibility, taking radical responsibility for our actions as a leader. Some of my favorite words are words like space and ease and flow and gratitude and soul and intuition, because I believe that that is really the basis of leadership. So if those words resonate with you, then you know you're in the right place. And they may even trigger you depending on where you are on your leadership journey, and that's okay too. Let's talk about bold for a second. Bold does not mean loud. Loud is noise, and we don't need any more noise in this world. It's pretty noisy out there. Bold is quiet, and it's unwavering. And bold, it doesn't have to be big. Bold is knowing the next best move for you. And these are the things that as a leadership and performance coach, I want to help you master. I teach leaders every day how to revolutionize the way they work and think so they can build businesses that last, live extraordinary lives, and do it without burning out. What is the point of doing big, purposeful things in the world if you're going to lose your sanity, your health, or your family, or other important relationships in your life? That's not how I do things. I train leaders to have the endurance to make a big impact. And what you can expect from me is transformation. I'm a transformational leader. And you can also expect the truth from me. I am a truth teller. I will tell bold truths all day long to anyone who will listen. Because as leaders, when you are at the top of your game, when you're leading in an organization or when you're leading your business, you get very little actual constructive feedback. And you most of the time don't get the truth. And I think that that is sorely missing in the world. I think this world needs a lot more truth. So I'm committed to showing up here on this podcast, speaking my truth and giving bold advice and sharing my unadulterated opinions with my listeners. In addition to that, I'm a mom and I'm a wife. I love coffee. I love building community. And I love CrossFit. So when you all start introducing yourselves to me, and I'm going to tell you how you can do that because I do want to get to know each and every one of you much better. One of my biggest whys for doing this podcast is to meet new and inspiring people every day. So when you start to introduce yourself to me, I'd love to know, do you like coffee too? Do you have kids? Do you have a community out there that you're leading? And if you like CrossFit, I need to know. I want to know out there who my CrossFitters are. And in case you haven't guessed it by now, I'm a New Yorker. My accent gives it away every single time. And I have been developing leaders to thrive in an ever-changing and noisy and overwhelming business landscape for almost 2 decades. I know what it takes. It takes strategy, mindset, and bold leadership to perform at high levels every day, to not only set goals, but actually achieve them. And not just any kind of goals. I'm talking about audacious ones, big ones. It takes performing your best every day to set your course and stick to it, that focus piece, right? And to lead from a place of vision and values. If you want to do things differently, then you're in the right place, because I have to tell you some of the things that we just don't do here. We don't do the status quo, mindless box checking. We don't do something because everybody else is doing it, or those cookie cutter plans, the 5-step system. We don't do that here. We lead, build careers, build businesses from the inside out. We focus on our vision. We lead from the front. We go against the grain, and we make a difference by doing things differently. Being different is how you stand out in your business and set goals worth aiming for. And when I say different, I don't mean, look, we can all go fly our freak flags all we want, but that's not what I mean. I don't mean being different to be outrageous or salacious or anything like that. I'm talking about leveraging our unique strengths and abilities to demonstrate our competitive advantage and stand out. That's different. And along the way, I've learned some things that I'll be sharing with us on these podcasts. I know that if you want more, you need to do less. And some of you just don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. Overachieving doesn't mean high performing. Success doesn't have to be hard or painful. You can build a strategy that flows and aligns and is in congruence with who you are as a human being. I know that you already have everything you need to step into your next level of success. And leading yourself in a way that is unapologetic and bold solves most problems. So I'm here to support you through this podcast in rocking your business in a way that feels good, aligns with your values, and supports your mission and makes you the money that you desire. I know that if you truly want extraordinary, you need to be bold. And if you want a business that lasts, you need to level up your leadership. And so that is really the mission for my podcast, to love on my community by offering valuable content, tools, and resources to develop bold, ballsy, and badass leaders to offer real, honest, and unapologetic discussion around leadership. And at this point, you're probably wondering, how we're structuring things, what this is really going to look like, what the topics are that we're talking about, because I told you that you'll be able to take that away from this introductory episode as well. And we're going to jump into that. This podcast for now is going to be organized in seasons, and each season will have 12 episodes. We're going to break in between seasons to give you a chance to catch up, to binge listen, to share with friends, and to engage in discussion on social media. Some episodes will be solo, just me, like this one, and others will be co-hosted with my team, and maybe I can even drag a client on here or two to co-host an episode with me. Some of the most common challenges my clients face, as well as my community, is around their time and their energy. So I have a strong commitment to keeping most of these episodes to not necessarily a specific time mark, but to keeping them no fluff. And for me, that really means, probably most episodes will be around 20 to 25 minutes. Ones that warrant more discussion or co-hosted, maybe they'll be 30 to 45 minutes. But I really want to commit to you that I don't do fluff. I'm an introvert. I don't do chit chat, idle chit chat. I like deep, meaningful, powerful conversations that lead to transformation. So these episodes will have no fluff. They'll be packed with valuable insights, advice, and topics, and will probably be the very things that I'm working with my clients on at the moment that I'm working with them on it. I love to share. That's something else you can know about me. I love to share. I believe my vulnerability is my strength and my gift. And I promise you that these conversations will be as unfiltered as I can make them. That's going to challenge me in myself to stand in my courage to hold these conversations. But I'm also making that commitment to you. Some of the things we're going to talk about this season are examples of bold leadership, why it's important, how to run a profitable business, and avoid burning out. We're going to talk about what it truly takes to be a high performer, because I believe this term is really overused these days. I'm going to share my lessons learned. I'm going to pull back the curtain and share my lessons learned. What I would do if I could do it all over again. This is a question that I get asked a lot. We're going to have some real talk on scarcity thinking and abundance. And we're going to give you some valuable tools and resources for closing out the year. Now, it's also critically important to me that, and one of the reasons why these episodes are going to be shorter and no fluff, is that it's critically important to me that we avoid cognitive overload. We consume a lot of content these days. And so I've prepared a worksheet for you to use with every episode if you choose to use it. It's there for you. You don't have to use it. It is absolutely not mandatory. I'm not sending anybody back to school or to the principal's office if they do not use this worksheet. However, this worksheet is specifically designed to help you keep track of your insights and your actions that you would want to take from what you've learned in the podcast. It's just a place to jot some things down, to save it for later, to take a tiny action each week, because that is truly how you learn and how you move forward with unrelenting forward progress. And it's critical to leadership mastery that we don't just want information. And sometimes I truly believe that people get stuck in the information consumption phase of things because that's really how they're demonstrating resistance to whatever it is that they want to be working on. We resist the things that we want the most. And so I find that a lot of leaders do experience resistance. And some of the ways that they experience resistance is by creating their own cognitive overload. So we don't want that here. We don't want information. We want transformation. And so that is why I've prepared a worksheet for you that you can download with this episode, and it'll be in the show notes for every episode hereafter. Now, if you're new to me and we have never met, this is very exciting to me. But if you are new to me and we have never met, I want you to take a minute and introduce yourself to me. And you can do this in one of three ways. You can find the Bold Leadership Revolution on Facebook, the Facebook page, and come comment on the post with the podcast or write on the wall or whatever you want to do and introduce yourself to me. You can post a picture of you listening to the podcast on Instagram and hashtag it Bold Leadership Revolution. I'll be looking for those and I'll come say hi. Or you can head over to the blog where this podcast is and comment on the podcast itself on my website on the blog. Those are the three ways that you can get in touch with me. And I'm looking so forward to getting to know you better and for you to be joining my community of like-minded, bold, ballsy, and badass leaders.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bold Leadership Revolution podcast. This episode has ended, but our work continues online. Head over to theboldleadershiprevolution.com, where you'll find links to any resources mentioned in today's episode, along with other valuable tips and information that will help you lead bold. That's theboldleadershiprevolution.com.